With only one more episode to go in HBO's Dune prophecy, episode 5 comes in as the series' best. I finally like an episode. I've been watching this show since episode 1 and I've done 2 reviews so far. Finally, something interesting is going on this show and I am excited to have watched it, and I am even more excited to talk about it. While not perfect, episode 5 was the best the series has given us so far. This week's episode of Dune prophecy, we had a higher quality of show. Not every scene, not every actor, and not every moment, but we definitely had a step up in story, in momentum, and I do feel like the show is finally going somewhere, although I'm still a little unsure of where that is. I like where the show ended as well. If you're not here for spoilers, I'll save those for later in the show, but I do want to say I like how the show ended, and I really liked how it began. That first scene outside where the Emperor was talking to his new troops in Bashar. He made Desmond Hart his new Bashar of the Ninja Turtle Foot Clan. I'm sorry. I think that the army costumes could have been a little bit better. They're just like a bunch of like ninjas with masks. It's silly, but whatever. It's fine. They're background characters. I get it, but I think they look silly. Anyway, the show opens up in space. We get some spaceships. The CGI is nice. It doesn't look too horrible. Outside, when the Emperor is speaking, there are some great long shots of the castle or whatever it is that they live in. It all looks great. It does have a good Dune feel, and I finally started to kind of get a vibe like, oh, all right, I kind of like this show right now. I mean, I have not been the biggest fan of all the episodes and all the moments, but I come back every week hoping to be, excited. So, and here I was, and I'm happy to say that. So I was feeling it, and I gotta say I have a couple of issues. One is that I truly feel like the acting is inconsistent. Now, I'm not gonna do big research. I'm not gonna say all the actors' names, but we're gonna know who we're talking about here, okay? I mean, we're just talking as fans. The guy who plays Desmond Hart, I think that he is a good actor, but I feel like he's kind of like bored. When I'm watching him, I feel like he's just like playing around. He's always like whispering, or he's kind of like dancing around. I mean, he's having fun being in the show, but I don't think he's giving it. Like, I mean, he's, you're doing a good job, dude, but like, I see you. I see what you're doing. You're having a good time. But then we've got people like the guy who's playing the Atreides Swordmaster, and every scene he's in, every time he talks, it's some of the worst stuff on the whole show. It's rough. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's, I don't know. Let's say I'm on Team Harkonnen on this one, but I don't like it when he's on screen. He annoys me, and the whole storyline is lame anyway. It's stupid. He's like, I want to kill everybody, but I don't, and I love her, but I'm not sure. It's a boring storyline. There are more interesting things in the show, and barely, but this is some of the worst stuff. Also, I'm just gonna call him Kid Carino, right? But the Emperor's son, who he had with one of the Bene Gesserit, one of the sisters, I'm sorry, they're not the Bene Gesserit yet. Kid Carino, he is also consistently annoying on screen. Near the end of the show, he arrests someone. Again, spoilers, right? I'll leave that for later, but he has someone arrested, and he sort of does like a curtsy bow, kind of curtsies. He's like, haha, I got you arrested. And it's just let's call it a bold choice. I'll be kind. I'll say it's a bold choice to curtsy when you've had your friend arrested. So I thought that was, didn't love that choice. And then I think you've got some great actors. The guy who plays the new head Harkonnen, the one who is kind of a double agent. He's working with Valia, and he's also working with Desmond Hart. I like him as an actor. I think he does a great job. I think he kind of feels like he would fit in on a Game of Thrones show. He's sort of got that like face and vibe, and he does a fine job. He's not the best actor in the world, but I do sort of think that he is the best actor on the show. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it exactly, but I do think that he is giving it his all. Whatever that means, he's doing a good job. He's trying. He's happy to be on the show, I think. So, I don't know. Valia wasn't in this episode too much, and that was just fine with me. And Tula had an interesting storyline. So her and Lila were in the basement with one of her acolytes, and they were talking to the old Mother Superior, Mother Rakella, and they were doing some science experiments. It was sort of like a scene out of No Way Home, and Mother Raquela's got her like goggles on, and they're doing stuff, and I don't know. It's silly, but you know, I think you know, they all did a nice job. Anyway, the story's interesting. I want to get into spoilers now. Okay, this isn't going to be a long video. I did like this episode. This was a better episode than I think a lot of the show, and I'm excited to see where we're gonna go in the finale. But if you haven't seen the show yet and you were wondering if you should watch it, you can stop here and then go watch the show. I'm gonna talk about spoilers. I'm gonna talk about spoilers now. Okay, so spoilers. The end of the show, we find out that Desmond Hart is Tula's son. Sounds like she left him out in the wild or whatever. She obviously had a kid with the Atreides after she killed everyone. She did have relations with him that one time, and I guess she got pregnant, and Desmond Hart is her son. And you know what? Yeah, I'm here for it. I think it's cool. It's a good twist. It's interesting. Some people were thinking that he was a Gola, which in the book is sort of like a remade undead soul with some sort of memory. Golas are cool. Golas get very interesting in the Dune Chronicles for sure. I won't give any spoilers for that, but Golas are fine, but he's not a Gola. I mean, I guess he technically could be a we don't know. We don't know what's happened to him, but it sounds like Tula is his mom, and that's cool. So let's find out where things are going with this. I also dig that the Queen finally just said like, all right, let's do it, Desmond Hart, because they've been flirting hard for a while, and the Queen's got to get hers. I think it's funny that they had to sort of make it okay for the Queen to get hers. So in this episode, the Emperor is also cheating, and he kisses this Bene Gesserit, this sister first. So, you know, the Emperor does it first, so now it's okay for the Queen to be horny, but like, whatever, dude. Like, who cares? It doesn't matter. This show started out with softcore porn. I think it's all awful. I think it's unnecessary, and if you're gonna do it right. This episode, I think, did do it right. This is one of the better episodes of the entire series so far, and I've been kind of harsh on the show, and so I'll give it its flowers where I think due, and I do think that it's due here. I will give the flowers. So here's the thing: this was a decent episode. It wasn't an A+, but I think maybe a solid, I think it's a B. So I want to talk about more spoilers, right? So the arrest of the Atreides, I'm a little confused by this. So there is a moment where Atreides Swordmaster is by himself, and Desmond Hart and his army of the Ninja Turtles Foot Clan, they show up to his sword room, and it looks like Desmond Hart is about to arrest him, and then Kid Carino walks in, and Desmond Hart's like, you lucked out, and then they all leave, right? Later on, when Kid Carino finds out, he just like sees a map in his bag. He just figures out that you're a bad guy. Kid Carino has him arrested later, not by Desmond Hart, but just by the Foot Clan, and Kid Carino does this, he curtsies. So like, he ruins the whole thing. I think it's great that he was willing to arrest his friend, and I spit in his face or something, like do something awesome. Like, why did you curtsy? I will never understand this. This was this kind of stuff ruins the show. You see, there's someone directing the show, and that person didn't go, hey, maybe spit in his face, you know, like maybe throw like dirt in his face and spit on the floor or something. Curtsy? I think curtsy is for one of the takes that ends up on the cutting room floor. I don't love it. I feel like it ruins the scene, and I just feel like it is proof that the show needs someone better at the helm. You know, I do think it needs someone better at the helm, and I think there's some good aspects of the show, but I don't think it's being handled well. Let's talk about a few more spoilers here. So there's a scene where Lila is, you know, she's being possessed by some of her ancestors, and in the books, it's well explained, and so it makes sense to someone who understands it, but I just don't know if it makes sense to someone who doesn't understand it. Why is she so easily possessed by her grandmother? I think it's a bit of a stretch for someone who doesn't know. But anyway, if you do know, it plays for some of the more interesting parts of the episode. And yet I still think it's handled weird, because Lila is sort of treated like a psychiatric patient. They've got her bound to a table. She's asleep, and then she's awake, and then she's someone else, and then she's a different... I just think it's a little awkward. it really does feel like a psychiatric patient, right? Because I think when she's introduced, they open that little window in the door and she kind of like screams at the window. You know, they kind of play it for like a jump scare, but it's kind of weird when you think about it. I think the whole thing's a little awkward. I don't know if it's handled well. I understand what they're doing. I just don't know if I love the way they're doing it. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to think of what I should be saying about the princess, but her storyline's kind of boring too. Really, her whole story is that she's not sure if she's on her family's side or the Atreides. It's not really that. She doesn't have like a really... I just think her whole thing is... I'm not really sure what her whole thing is. That's the truth. I don't have much to say about her storyline. I wish I did. So let's leave it at that. I wish I had more to say about her storyline. I'm looking forward to next week. I can't wait to see where the show's going, and I'm happy to say that Dune Prophecy is finally starting to trend, in my opinion, into a higher quality show. It's not perfect, but it was mildly entertaining tonight. I appreciate that because, I don't have too much time to waste. Obviously, I've got enough time to waste to record this. Well, thanks so much for hanging out and listening to this review of episode 5 of Dune Prophecy. I'm excited to talk about next week's episode. I'm excited to watch it first. I'm not sure what's going to happen, and I'm finally looking forward to something on the show. So really happy to say that. If you've been following my reviews, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised to know that I finally don't hate it completely. And I'm also pleasantly surprised to say that as well. Like, subscribe. It really helps me out. Have a good one. I will see you next time. This was Film School Dad.